Hey ladies and gentlemen, WhiteSheep here with the character bio for Iron Man, if you didn't catch it from the thumbnail or the title. To give you some personal background, Iron Man is, without a doubt, my favorite superhero. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, it's just because of the movies, but no, I was a big fan of Iron Man before that. I think the suit is really cool, and I'm really into all the sciencey stuff. And science-based superheroes, I think, are my favorite just because they're sort of underdogs in a world, in the comic book universe, I guess, that is dominated by people like Thor or Superman, you know, Hyperion, all these super powerful people, and they're just trying to not necessarily coexist, but stand out on their own. So, interestingly enough, speaking of the movie, really, a lot of people now know Iron Man, and so, you know, you're like, why are you doing a character bio? And it's because he's my favorite, and I asked Josh if I could. But, anyways, a lot of people know Iron Man now. Before, they really didn't. Iron Man was solidly a B-list character. I mean, if you ask someone on the street, hey, who's Iron Man? They'd be like, who the hell is that? Comic book fans knew about him because he's been around since 1959 in Tales of Suspense number 39, and he was a founding member of the Avengers in 1963, but he was really just known within the comic book community. If you didn't read comics, you probably wouldn't know who he is because he wasn't as big as, you know, Superman or Batman or Captain America, Spider-Man, the X-Men, people like that. And so a lot of people probably, you know, he gained more prominence. You know, he's a central figure in the Marvel Universe. Still B-list, but he plays a very active role. And in the years leading up to the movie, he was in the comics a lot with, you know, Civil War and all that jank that went on, and, you know, from around 2006 before the movie got made. But really, it's very interesting that he, more than anyone else, I mean, you can argue Chris Hemsworth and Thor has risen in the public conscience, but he himself has probably seen the most dramatic rise into just, you know, fandom. Because, and I blame Robert Downey Jr. for that, his charisma is ridiculous, and his life, essentially, go look up his early, like, his early years, you know, minus the supreme intellect, and, you know, but, you know, his experiences with drugs and alcohol and fame early on, you know, very closely mirror Tony Stark, saving time and giving you the short version of that story there. But without further ado, let's jump into his origin. Alright, Anthony Edward Stark was adopted by Howard and Maria after a failed attempt to have a natural child. They really struggled for a while, you know, trying to have a kid. And there's a whole long story there about it, but they adopted Tony, who from a young age showed to have a natural, you know, genius and a superior intellect. And he got put into a boarding school at the age of 6, and he excelled in all of his studies and graduated as his high school's valedictorian. He went on to MIT, where he received his PhD in, you know, physics and various fields. As we see in, like, the Avengers, he's, you know, when did you become an expert, and, you know, blah 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 blah. And he's like, oh, last night. And I feel like the movies definitely give you an idea of just how smart he is. You know, double majors in physics and engineering were really easy for him, and in his 20s he sort of embraced his wealth, so to speak, and partied hard. And, you know, that's where he gets in, because he's a socialite. I mean, of course, alcohol's part of his life, and it sort of, you know, plays a very central role. You know, you see that in stories like Demon in the Bottle. He really struggles with it at times, and he becomes, at the age of 21, the CEO of Stark Industries. And, you know, Stark Industries at the time was really, the contracts were primarily in weapons manufacturing, and he made billions off of that. And I would say the movies do a good job of representing that as well. But Stark Industries grew with Tony leading the way, but during a visit to Afghanistan, one of these exploded, and he was captured by a revolutionary leader named Wang Chu, who informed him that within a week, the shrapnel within his heart would kill him. And, you know, he was sort of put into a cell and he was forced to make this doomsday device. It was sort of, you know, a hostage situation, a blackmail, really. I don't know if you can call it blackmail if, you know, death is the other option, but, you know. But he basically, that's why he gets the, you know, this implant in his chest to keep it, you know, to keep the shrapnel out of his heart for a while. And he actually was in there with Ho Jensen, which is another thing the movies got correct. Jensen saves Tony's life by making the magnetic chest plate, which keeps the shrapnel from moving closer to his heart. And with the tools and supplies available, they make an escape plan instead of the weapon. Also, you know, very well represented in the movie. And they created an armored suit, but it needed time to charge. During this time, the terrorists started sensing something was wrong and wanted to check on him. Professor Jensen sort of sacrificed himself, or not sort of, he died. He went and stalled them a little bit, but got killed. and Stark avenges his death and basically busts out the place and, you know, kills them all. And he escapes. This is the Mark I. You know, if you see this picture right here, it does look very similar to the one that they used in the movie. Maybe this one is a little bit smaller, but it does look sufficiently retro. But after, you know, meeting United States pilot, you know, Rhodey, he returned to the United States. They helped each other escape, actually, because Rhodey went down somewhere, like in a plane nearby, and they both helped each other out. But after the events, he decided to fight injustice with the Iron Man armor, giving it new appearances, abilities, and becoming the armored Avenger everyone knows as Iron Man. I love that they show in the Iron Man, like in Iron Man 3, that he makes all these different kinds of suits. Because in the 60s, he was sort of Marvel's answer to Batman, really, where Batman would be like, come on, Robin, let's get in the scuba suit, or whatever. Or, you know, the stealth suit. He had a suit for every occasion, and Iron Man was very much the same way. He had suits for every possible eventuality that he could think of. And, you know, he actually, you know, in 1963 ends up in the Avengers, sort of a central founding member of that with, you know, in 1963 he became an Avenger with Ant-Man, Thor, Wasp, Hulk, and all those folks. It's interesting because at one point he wanted to sell the armor before he decided to become a superhero. People really embraced the identity, and so he became Iron Man. And originally he was fighting, you know, spies and criminals that threatened his own company. It's very interesting, and Mandarin is one of his central villains. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But in 1963 he joins the Avengers. At that time it was a big deal because the Justice League was really the only, you know, team up out there, and so the Avengers was sort of Marvel's answer to that. And we of course saw it in the awesome movie, and it was amazing. But in the Avengers he donated his mansion, which became, you know, the Avengers Manor. I don't know if they call it manor or mansion, but he donated his mansion for their exclusive use, and he sort of bankrolls the Avengers a little bit with his wealth. But yeah, they discovered Captain America, and he sponsored Hawkeye, and, you know, the Avengers grew and then split up across the country and stuff like that. But Stark's genius really makes him able. It enables him. That's the word I was looking for, to keep the armor state of the art, and he's able to, you know, like I said, come up with everything for any eventuality. And he's really probably the most resourceful of all, you know, heroes in the Marvel Universe. And eventually he decided to stop making weapons and devoted his company to other areas of technology, which we also saw in the movie. Now, moving on to his abilities, he has superhuman strength, speed, durability, flight, and he has energy manipulation and projection. He's also a super genius, an expert engineer, a businessman, a tactician, brilliant scientist, and a skilled combatant. You know, he kind of trains a little bit more, you know, later. And he actually, I guess, I don't know if it's not kung fu, but he actually learns how to fight, partially from experience, but partially because he actually goes out and, you know, learns how to do it. But his abilities vary with the armors, which, you know, definitely all of them have, you know, different things they can do, as I've mentioned several times before. He's been part of, you know, like I said, the teams he's been part of, the Avengers, the Illuminati most recently. But definitely, to learn more about Iron Man, the recommended reading for this one are Tales of Suspense number 39, you know, the first appearance, Iron Man, the Armor Wars, Iron Man, Demon in a Bottle, brilliant story, definitely a very haunting, you know, personal tale. Iron Man Extremis, another key story, Invincible Iron Man Volume 1, and the Marvel Civil War Omnibus. Civil War is probably my favorite event in years, by the way. But anyways, so in the comments, I just have some homework for you. So in the comments, tell me real quick, who is your favorite Iron Man villain? Is it, you know, the Mandarin, the Crimson Dynamo, Whiplash? Ezekiel Stane is probably mine. The Mandarin is close, but, you know, let me know. Also, if you liked this, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're not subscribed already to see all of our videos. We're really active in the comments, so if you want to tell us how we did, leave us commentary or criticism, please go ahead and do that. We'll get back to you more than likely. We actually really love responding to you guys and talking to you guys and getting to interact with all the folks out there. Anyways, that'll do it for me here. Signing off, I am WhiteSheep. See you next time.